A number of prominent people including former ministers and parliamentarians along with civil society organizations, CSOs, have called on newly elected members of parliament to declare their wealth at the beginning and end of the legislative session for a more dependable and corruption-free parliament. In a common declaration last week, prominent names in the Turkish intelligentsia and leaders of CSOs declared that after people of Turkey showed their consent for democracy in June 7 general election, a restoration government, free from corruption and arbitrary and unlawful policies against its own people is needed for a quick normalization of Turkish politics. The results of the June 7 general election brought an end to 13 years of single-party rule by the Justice and Development Party, AK Party, government whose name has been associated with bribery, corruption, and arbitrary legislation to cover up its corrupt practices. A major corruption scandal which erupted into the public arena after police raids on December 17, 2013 implicated the sons of four then ministers, politicians from the AK Party government, high-profile businessmen, including Iranian businessman Reza Zarrab, who is accused of gold smuggling and bribery, and Bilal Erdoğan, son of the then Prime Minister and present President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. The Turkish parliament, which was dominated by AK Party in January 2015, rejected proposals from opposition parties to send four former ministers Icmenba, Muammer Güler, Zafer Aliyan and Erdoğan Bayraktar of the AK Party government to the Supreme State Council for trial. Thousands of police officers and members of the judiciary who carried out the corruption investigations as part of the graft probe of December 2013 have been transferred, suspended, or arrested in government-orchestrated operations in order to divert public attention from the corruption of the AK Party. The declaration said that the wealth of the parliamentarians must be transparent and that they must be accountable before impartial judiciary for corruption charges. It also underlined that unjust treatment of the members of the judiciary and police force who carried out the investigations as part of their legal duty must end. According to the Common Declaration, the new deputies who promised people to end the retrogression in Turkish politics must leave aside their ideological differences, unite under the framework of restoration and repair the damaged principles of democracy and rule of law in Turkey. Emphasizing the need to not waste resources in state institutions, the declaration also pointed to the topics over which the AK Party government was criticized, such as the impartiality of the state-run Turkish Radio and Television Corporation, TRT, and the Anadolu News Agency, AA, press freedom and foreign policy. The decline of AK Party votes from 50% to 40% is an opportunity to return to the criteria adopted during the beginning of the European Union accession process, and it is an opportunity to withdraw some anti-democratic articles in laws such as the 10% election threshold and the unequal share of state funds to political parties. The declaration was signed by Bugün Daily columnist Professor Mehmet Altan, Taraf Daily columnist Professor Murat Belci, Today's Zaman columnist Orhan Kemal Cengiz, former AK Party Istanbul deputy and associate Professor Zeynep'te, Civil Policy Platform spokesman and former Mufti Abdülbaki Erdoğan, Social Democratic Party, SODEP, leader Hüseyin Ergun, SODEP Secretary General Rakay Ersoy, retired Undersecretary in the Ministry of Culture and Tourism Kemal Fayırcenk, former Culture and Tourism Minister Ertuğrul Günay, former AK Party's Emir Deputy Erdal Kağan, retired military judge Ümit Kardeş, Anadolu Cultural Foundation Chairman Osman Kavala, former deputy and chairman of Turkish Democracy Foundation Emre Kokalu, Professor Onur Bilgekula, former Motherland Party, ANAP, head Nesrin NAS, Professor Basan Orhan, Professor Niyazi Aktem, former AK Party deputy Haluk Özdalga, broadcaster Tuğrul Payalu, retired Ambassador Ünal Ünsal, former Parliamentary Human Rights Commission head Zafer Uskal, former AK Party Deputy Hami Yıldırım and former Deputy Prime Minister and Tourism Minister Bahattin Yücel. Meanwhile, Mustafa Göktaş, chairman of the Association for the Protection of the Environment and Consumer Rights, SETKADER, also said in a statement that people want to live in a decent society which could only be brought by a decent parliament. Therefore, members of a decent parliament must be honest and transparent in their work. In order to increase the trust of the public in Parliament, Goktas invited deputies to declare their wealth before the public at the beginning and end of the new legislative year. A decent society is only possible when there is decent politics, he added.